Like many of you, I thought saving my first $100,000 was going to be impossible until it ultimately wasn't. I used to think it would take me forever, especially not having a six-figure salary, a crazy side hustle, making me a lot of side income. But with just consistency and a few big mindset shifts, I was able to achieve it. So in this video, I'm going to break down how I actually hit that $100,000 mark, the things that helped me get there, and tips for anyone chasing that same goal of reaching their first $100,000. Where I started, my family didn't come from money. I didn't come from money. I'd say we're a middle class family. My dad worked most of the time while my mom stayed home and watched us. So my early jobs, especially through high school or during my time in college, just gave me enough to, I guess, have fun on the weekends, or go out with some friends, or go out with some buddies, or go on dates. Still living at home, I didn't really have many expenses. I'd help buy some groceries here and there, some basics for the house, and overall, the rest of it would either just go into a savings account for me, or just toys that I wanted to buy along the way. So I was still saving back then. I guess you could say saving a little bit, but I wasn't investing yet. So how long it took me to hit the $100,000 mark? I'd say I really started investing probably my junior year of college. So I want to say like 2020, 2021 is when I really started getting familiar with the investing process and started kind of dipping my toes in investment accounts. So things that ultimately helped me the most. Number one, living below my means, like kind of tying to frugality. Living at home is probably the biggest expense I was able to cut out big time, especially throughout college. I'm living at home. My first job, I was fully remote, so I didn't see a point in moving out. Just right out of college, I continued to just save my money. And then currently, because my new job right now, I'm maybe 10 minutes away from my house. So at this point in time, especially with the housing market and how close I am to home, I just didn't think it would make sense to move out just yet, especially, able to save a lot of money. And, I get along with my family. So it's not really a huge need to up and leave the nest. Avoiding debt or paying it down early. Thankfully, I was able to pay off my student costs, whether it be books or classes, as I was working part-time throughout college, and then an internship my senior year. I was able to really cover most of my expenses there. So I really didn't graduate with any student loans, thankfully. The only debt I currently have is I'm paying off a phone. I think the phone bill is almost done at this point, and the only really reason I upgraded is because my phone was back from, I think, freshman year of high school. So like 2013, 2014, phone was really old, dying on me really quickly, and just overall just needed an upgrade. So I'm almost done paying that off, and I actually just finished out buying my car. So I did get a loan to finish paying that car off. So I think I have about $10,000 left on my car, but other than that, I'm completely debt free. Increasing my income over time. So right out of college, I made the most money with my tech sales job. But probably a year and a half into my job, I realized I really didn't like the sales side as much. I really enjoyed the tech side. So I had to take a step back and realize what I wanted for a career. So that's when I decided to go into the IT field, and I'm currently in cybersecurity. So just trying to keep leveling up my skills and increase my salary. So just always remember, you can always try to increase your income over time. That's the goal, whether it be bigger job titles or side hustles or just overall different income streams to increase your overall income. It is the best way to invest more aggressively and just get to that goal of that $100,000 even quicker. And then when it comes to automating savings and investments, I really didn't do that, and I don't I continue to not really automate my stuff. I like going into my accounts once a week. I usually go every Saturday. I'll go into my accounts, and if it's the week I put money into the accounts, then I like to do that myself. I really don't like to automate the process, but I know a lot of people prefer to automate it, so it's really just your preference at the end of the day. So I'm going to cover what didn't work for me after covering what did just work. Lifestyle creep, I'm not big into buying like fancy cars or fancy toys or fancy clothes. So I don't think lifestyle creep really has impacted me personally, but I know a lot of people, as they increase their income, they may splurge a little bit. So just be careful of lifestyle creep is pretty much the ultimate message there. Trying to time the market or jumping in and out of investments, at the end of the day, experts can't time the market correctly. So why would you try to, especially just starting out or with the little experience we have being so young. So just always remember, do your dollar cost averaging and don't worry about timing the markets. If you want to try timing the market, try that with any additional funds you have left over for the month. Don't do that on your initial or your automated funds you do monthly already. So if you normally put $500 in a month, put those $500 in, and if you get an extra $300 that month and you want to say, oh, hey, maybe I'll invest after NVIDIA sales call or whatever the case may be. Just ultimately don't try to time the market at all times. Time in the market is always better than timing the market. Always remember that. And then overthinking or just being too conservative at the start. I'd say I was afraid to take my money out of my savings account in my bank because I was not 100% sure where my money was going when I was investing it. So I guess playing it too conservatively, I was afraid that I was just putting my money in like a dark hole. But do your research, figure out what you're investing in so you fully understand it and you understand what it means to put your money in an investment account. Just because you put your money in the account doesn't mean it's always not accessible. So just keep that in mind. Do your research at the end of the day is pretty much what I'm getting at. Some tips for hitting that first 100K that I'd like to share with you guys. Start small, start now. That's the best way to look at it. If you have to start small, no problem. Just start now. Even if it's $50 a month, you're building that habit of investing on a monthly basis. And that matters more than the amount early on in the investment journey. Kind of going back on the automate things, if it makes it easier for you, if you can set the automation, set it and forget it, go for it. Focus on income and saving rate. Cut costs where you can, but focus on growing your income at the end of the day. Like I said, whether that's getting a side hustle, working on the weekends, taking a part-time job on the weekends, or just leveling up your current career and getting a higher paying job. Avoid lifestyle inflation, kind of the lifestyle creep mentioned before. Just because you get a raise doesn't mean you need a new car or apartment. Don't be afraid to reward yourself here and there, but don't go getting a $40,000-$50,000 car, don't go getting a $40,000-$50,000 car and getting a huge loan on that car, having to pay crazy amount of interest rates for the next 72 months. And as always, invest early and consistently. Let compound interest start its magic. Compound interest doesn't care how much you start with. It just ultimately starts working when you start investing and letting it get to work. So what I personally learned after hitting 100K, it wasn't a feeling of being quote unquote rich. Reaching 100K didn't make me feel like I made it. Honestly, it just felt like another day for me. It's like, oh, wow, I hit 100K. Okay, cool. But years ago, I was like, oh man, I can't wait till I hit 100K. So I think your mindset changes, and I think we're always never satisfied, which can be a double-edged sword, but it ultimately gave me confidence, security, and momentum in my investment journey. Your mindset changes. I stopped stressing about every little expense and started thinking long term. So like if I have to go fill up gas, fill up my cars, maybe $35. Maybe when I was only at a couple $1,000s saved, or maybe $10,000 saved, that $30-40 kind of hit me a little bit. But now I'm like, obviously I still am careful where my money goes, but that $30-40, it's like, okay, well, I need to fill up the gas. I've obviously continued to save my money correctly, whatever, like it's a necessary. So it gets easier after all this. Your money starts working for you. They always say your first 100K is the hardest to achieve. The second 100K comes faster than the first if you stay consistent and keep on the investment grind. So closing thoughts on this video. If you're starting out, I promise you, it's not out of reach. The first 100K is slow, messy, and definitely frustrating at times, but it's worth it. Like I said, when I first started investing, I was watching a bunch of videos where they're saying, get to your first 100K, like do whatever you have to reach that first $100,000. And at that time I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. Like there's no way, like I'm only putting in a couple $100s a month. Like I'm going to be having to do this for years to get that amount. But when you hit it feels so good, and it really reminds yourself like, wow, like I stuck to a plan, I stuck to my goals, I hit that $100,000. It's only going to get easier from here. So keep that in mind. And ultimately, you don't need perfect timing. Like I said, don't time the market, just focus on time in the market. You don't need a six-figure job. I currently don't have a six-figure job. I've yet to achieve six-figure job status in my career, but I'm hopefully looking to achieve that in the next couple of years. Ultimately, you just need discipline, time, and a plan. And as always, trust the process. Don't compare yourself to others. If your friend's making a little more money than you, or maybe you're making a little more money than your friend, like just focus on yourself. Don't worry about focusing on others. So as the screen goes black here, Clash of Clans gameplay is all done in the background, so I'm going to wrap this up. If this video helped or motivated you, please drop a comment with your own savings goals or where you're currently at on your journey. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to have some dialogue in the comments. And as always, if you're new, welcome to the channel. This is Lunch Table Vibes. These are the typical videos I like to release. And for the current Lunch Table squad, I appreciate you guys. And as always, please like, subscribe, and I'll catch everybody in the next one. Have a good night.